You read that title correct. Today we are checking out the third solo fighter for Unmatched. It's never talked about, technically official, technically unofficial. Very, very exciting, but I don't want to get too far into it. No spoilers here, guys. Let me take you on the journey. So there I was, just browsing on the Unmatched community page on Facebook, and I saw this post here talking about a solo fighter that is technically official, technically not. It was released in Brazil, but not a lot of people knew about it. There was a few BGG pages about it, but it was kind of shrouded in mystery. So I reached out to a couple of Brazilian fans of Unmatched, and one did get back to me. I need to give a special thanks to João here. He got back to me right away, and he was able to share everything there is to know about this character. So basically, whenever Unmatched got localized to Brazil, this company Burrow decided that they wanted to release their own fighter that was technically official because it is by one of the affiliated companies that is doing the localization, but it's not official in the Restoration Games eyes. That did say that this is technically a custom fighter, but it is very kind of fun that the localization team made their own fighter. So they put out this bracket here, and you guys can check out all the different fighters that they had as options, and all of their Brazilian fans voted on which of these heroes that they wanted to be in the official game, and they decided on Lampião. Now, if you've not heard about him, I hadn't either, but this is a bandit leader in Brazil in the 1920s, 1930s-ish era, and he was kind of a Robin Hood-esque figure, and he became very, very popular as this kind of like folklore, town hero, and it turned out he was perfect for the localization, the custom Brazilian fighter. So my biggest question for João when I first asked him was that picture that you saw here from that Facebook post kind of looked like the side of the box right here like we see on Houdini and Genie, but that was incorrect. They actually released it in this box here. Here are some photos that João sent me. And as you can see, it's basically a box that a deck of cards would come in. So João and I worked together and we were able to translate the entire thing as well as get it printed. Yes, here it is, physically done, a full one-to-one recreation of the Lampião box. As you can see here from the pictures he was able to send me, I was able to recreate it one for one here, but in English. So we can check it out together here. So on the front here, that is that image that we saw from the Facebook post. I thought this was the side of the box, but no, it is the front. They definitely made it very, very unique here. And we have custom art, not only on the front of the box, but all throughout the deck. We'll see that in just a moment. And we can see in the top here, it says Lampião and Corisco, and then a few pieces of text on the bottom. We will get back to that. And on the side here, we have the Unmatched logo, Yellow, which I believe is the company that does localizations in other parts of the world, like the UK. And then Burrow, this is the company that did the localization for Brazil and gave us Lampião himself, the deck that we are checking out today. Then on this side, we have those same logos, as well as the barcode. And yes, this is the exact recreation of that barcode, so the exact same from the official one that all the Brazilian fans got. And then we have all the legal jargon that is translated to English, as well as all of the information on the back that we can read through real fast. And so this says, Lampião was the hero chosen by you to be a part of this battle of legends. He bravely defeated all of his opponents from the top of the throne and is now ready to face new challenges. Counting on the help of Corisco and exclusive skills, Lampião will enter the arena and with blood on the Jowee, will show who is the king of Cangaçu. Yes, very, very cool. So that keys you into a little bit more of the backstory with Lampião there. I am so excited to show this one off, guys. But as you can see on the front here, we have one miniature as well as 32 cards. And I said, Jowee was amazing. He was able to share everything about this character with me. So with those 32 cards, he was able to show all of these photos, and I was able to recreate the deck one for one. So we will look through all of this in just a moment, but I want to get back to the deck the box real fast, and you can see that it says one miniature acrylic character. So yes, a 3D miniature was not able to fit in the box, and there was no health dials. So I feel like if we were going to fully review this character and show him off and spread him with the rest of the Unmatched community, he had to be done right. So this miniature acrylic character that is mentioned on the box is this here. This is the photo that João sent to me, and it is just these clear acrylic character with the art on the back there, just a little standee, as well as the sidekick token for Corisco there. But instead of getting that fully recreated, I felt like Lampião here needed the full treatment. So I was able to work with the creator Jowee. Please check him out. And we were able to make this, a miniature for Lampião. And I said it is perfect. It has so many great details. Looks exactly like any other unmatched character. We can look at that more in detail, as well as a sidekick token for Corisco. But yes, and the other things that we upgraded for Lampião here before we look into the deck itself is that it didn't come with any health dials. So I was able to work with João and make these two health dials here, one for Lampião and one for Corisco. And I forgot to also show off that Lampião's hero card here, a 1-for-1 recreation of the Brazilian one, front and back there, as well as Lampião comes with a extra rules card you can also see there, and I was able to fully get that translated over into English as well. And then I will also, of course, leave links for everything that you're seeing here, as well as the kind of more official looking version that I made if you want that one instead. But yes, before we go fully into the deck here, I also didn't stop there, and I was able to recreate the box to better match actual Unmatched. So yes, we can grab that real fast. And here is my take on the Lampião box. So we can put that other one to the side right now, and we can see here, this is Lampião, the solo fighter. I did put the Unmatched, the fan match logo on there, not to confuse it with an actual buyable figure. But we have the yellow and burrow logos there, as well as on both sides there, all the artwork that you would usually see on any one of these boxes. And we can quickly bring out Bruce Lee, so you can see that I painstakingly tried to recreate everything 1-for-1. And then on the back here, you can also see I was able to get all of those details put in and give Lampião the true, full, unmatched experience that he deserved. All that information that you saw on the back of that box has been copied over here, as well as that miniature, his sidekick token, those health dials, and all of his cards. So yes, I hope you're excited about this as much as I am, and we can get into the deck review. And here we have him in the flesh, the Lampião solo fighter, but in English. I'm so excited to show this guy off to you. We can start off with the miniature here. Once again, I want to mention that Jowee, the Unmatched creator, did help me get all of this made, and it looks perfect. We can bring in an official fighter here with Shakespeare, and you can see he's just slightly too tall, but hey, you can adjust that yourself. I'm very happy with how it turned out. Definitely a little bit more fun to have than the acrylic standee that was the original one that came with Lampião here. And then we also have his sidekick Corisco here. Once again, want to remind you what the original one looked like there. And then we also have health dials for Lampião. Nothing to compare them to because these ones are a Burnt Toast exclusive here. I will, of course, leave links for everything. Oops, I'm going to drop that there. But yes, we have a health dial for both of these characters, both Lampião and Corisco. Now we can get right into the deck. I am so excited, guys. Yes, so this is Lampião, a ranged fighter with 15 health. And we have Corisco, another ranged fighter with 6 health, and they both have a move of 2. And this one says, Lampião and Corisco can occupy the same space on the board. If they do, they are in ambush. While in ambush, you can only play Lampião cards, and Corisco takes all the damage. So doing a little bit of research into this character, apparently this is very thematic because that was kind of what he was. I said he was a bandit hero. He would, surprise the police over there in Brazil, and was able to to do technically some bad war crimes. But hey, he was, as a kind of a Robin Hood, steal from the rich, kind of gives the poor a little bit. So definitely you can do your own research and look into that. But him being able to hide and ambush them as a team was very, very thematic to him as a character. But yes, so on the board there, usually your fighters cannot occupy the same space, but you're allowed to put Lampião on top of Corisco there, and they move as 1, or technically moving as 2 as much as you'd like. But while they are in this state, you can only use Lampião cards or any cards, and Corisco here takes all of the damage. So you can attack with Lampião, but take all that damage and give it to Corisco while they're both in ambush. And to give us a couple of extra caveats here, we have these special rule cards here. So for Lampião and Corisco, we have ambush. Lampião and Corisco can occupy the same space on the board simultaneously. When this happens, Lampião's special ability ambush will be activated, and we will see a couple of cards that reference ambush there. And it says, while in ambush, the following must occur. When either fighter would take damage, Corisco will take all damage. So that's effect damage as well. You can only use any or Lampião cards. Kind of what I was explaining already. And then next here we have the Cangaceiro's Last Breath. This deck comes with 2 special tactic cards that will help Lampião in his combat. The Patim's Blessing card brings a permanence mechanic into play. When entering play, this card must remain on the table until Maria Bonita's Handkerchief card is played. If Patim's Blessing is in play when Maria Bonita's Handkerchief is played, Patim's Blessing must be returned to the game box. It does not go in the discard pile. Maria Bonita's Handkerchief is used and is discarded normally. Use them wisely. So yes, that was definitely a lot to digest right away, but we will look into the deck and you will see that Lampião actually came up with the ongoing effect that we saw in the Witcher set. But hey, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's look into this deck here. And this is the official card back that said copied 1-for-1 from what they had there. And this is Lampião and Corisco. So definitely if I were to make it myself, I'd love to add that little board that you usually see in Unmatched cards. But hey, I want it to be as much 1-for-1 as it could be. So starting off with the attack cards here for Lampião, we have a 3 attack for Lampião with 2 boost 3 copies, and this is Goat Attack. During combat, you may take 1 damage to change the value of this card to 5. Very, very cool. I love stuff like this where you get to do a small attack or have the option to take some damage to get this up to a 5. Very, very cool. And then those are the only attack cards or only Lampião cards except for these schemes that we have. So we can go right into what those cards we're talking about in these special rules there. So this is a scheme for Lampião. This is a 4 boost with 1 copy, and this is Patim's Blessing. Add Maria Bonita's Handkerchief to your hand while this card is on the table, +1 to all your attacks, and then also after attacking from ambush, draw 1 card. So yes, as I was saying before, this is basically the ongoing effect that the Witcher set had, but it came out before the Witcher set. Yes, Lampião had the ongoing first. So in the spirit of him, I actually did make a custom card here that replaces that one to kind of look more like the ongoing effect. So we'll put that to the side and we can instead replace it with this custom Burnt Toast here ongoing effect card. So yeah, same exact text, is just formatted differently to look like the ongoing effects. But yes, this one references the Maria Bonita's Handkerchief. One thing I do want to point out, apparently this is contested in the Brazilian Unmatched fandom there, but it says add Maria Bonita's Handkerchief to your hand. They didn't specify, but that means from your deck, from your discard, wherever it is, you add it to your hand, even if you've already played it. And then we can see here, this is Maria Bonita's Handkerchief, a scheme for Lampião with 4 boost 1 copy. And this is search your deck/discard pile for Patim's Blessing and add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. If Patim's Blessing is next to your hero card, remove it from play and set Lampião's health to 4. So basically what that means is that if you play Maria Bonita's card first, you do get to search for Patim's Blessing, and then you'll have that ready to go. So wherever it is in your deck or your discard pile, if you use it to boost, and then it adds Maria Bonita's card back to your hand. But this one is, if you use it once you've already used this ongoing effect, you get to set your health to 4. So potentially bad if you're above 4, but this is a great if you are below 4, and it's basically you are sacrificing your ongoing effect to get back to 4 health. A very, very cool combo. And I said, came out before the Witcher, so actually the original ongoing effect deck. Very, very cool. And then next here is a scheme for Lampião with 1 boost, 3 copies, and this is Sharing the Loot. All players draw 1 card, then discard 1 card. If your fighters are in ambush, you draw 2 cards and discard 0. So very, very cool. So everybody on the table gets to do that 1 card draw and discard 1 card, but having them in ambush lets you draw 2 cards instead and discard 0. Very, very cool. And we get 3 of those, getting the loot there. And then next here we have an attack card for Corisco with 2 boost 2 copies, and this is Tragedy on the Way to the Fair. During combat, if your opponent played a card, the value of this card is 4 instead. So definitely a very, very cool effect there of being like, hey, if your opponent does defend, you're going to fight back harder, but if he doesn't defend, it stays slightly smaller. I wish the gap was a little bit bigger, like maybe this is a 1, and then if your opponent defends, it's a 4. But hey, we're keeping it 1-for-1 to the original deck there. And then next here we have a 3 versatile for Corisco, that same artwork that you see on the token there. And then it's a 2 boost 2 copy, and this is Eye for an Eye. After combat, if you lost the combat, deal 2 damage to the opposing fighter. So very, very cool. So if you're the attacker and you lose, meaning that you dealt no damage, you still get that damage. Or if you're the defender and they hurt you, you hurt them back. Eye for an Eye. Very cool. And then next here we have a 3 attack for any with 2 boost 4 copies, and this is Surprise Attack. During combat, increase this card's value by 1 if Lampião and Corisco are in the same zone. If they're in ambush, increase this card's value by 2. So once again, giving you some bonuses there if Lampião and Corisco are either close to each other or on top of each other in that ambush state. Feeling very true to the original person that this whole deck is based on. Next here is a 3 defense for any with 2 boost 3 copies, and this is Reinforcement Reinforcements. After combat, your opponent discards 1 card. If Lampião and Carisco are in ambush, the opponent discards 2 cards instead. So very cool. And one thing I do want to point out about ambush there is that Carisco is taking all the damage and he only has 6 health. So sometimes you do need to split them up so that Carisco does not die, but you want them together to get all these bonus effects. And of course, you can't play any Carisco cards while they're in ambush. Next here is a 3 versatile for any with 3 boost 2 copies, and this is Turned into the Plague. After combat, if you won the combat, move Carisco 3 spaces. So very cool. So can technically be played by Lampião, and then you get to move Carisco into his zone there or into his space and activate another card there. And then next here we have Regroup, a 2 versatile for any with 2 boost 3 copies, and this is after combat, draw 1 card. If you won the combat, draw 2 cards instead. So it is a regular regroup, but they upped it by 1, and that was how the original deck looked, so I did not change that back to 1. Next we have Lampião's Feint here with 2 versatile for any, 2 boost 3 copies, and this is immediately cancel all effects on your opponent's card. And then our last one here is a 4 versatile for any with 2 boost 3 copies, and this is Blood in the Eyes. After combat, move Lampião up to 3 spaces. So we had a move Carisco, and now we have a move Lampião. So yes, that is the entire deck for Lampião, and now we can move on to my final thoughts. Whoa, actually before I move on to the final thoughts, there's actually 2 versions of Lampião here. Yes, so some of the Brazilian Unmatched fans got back to me, specifically Lucas here, and he was able to point out right before I printed the deck that there's actually 2 versions. Yes, he said that a lot of the fans were unhappy with how this deck was. Part of it being that the ongoing effect was a little confusing. There was this big special rule cards for all these different things that he was doing, so they actually re-released him as a print and play version, and Lucas was able to get me that version. So special thank you to Lucas here, and we can actually find this one here, the Lampião 2nd edition. So yes, I only printed out the cards that were different so you can swap them for yourself. So the art is the biggest tell of if this is the same card just changed, so you would just swap out all of the same art cards. But yes, we can go in. This is the 2nd edition, so definitely plays a little bit different. You get rid of the ongoing effect, but you get a lot more effects that deal with that ambush mechanic. So starting off here is a 1 attack for Carisco with 2 boost 2 copies, and this is Tragedy on the Way to the Fair. During combat, if your opponent played a card, the value of this card is 5 instead. So yes, I believe in the original deck, this was a 3 to a 5, now it's a 1 to a 5, which I think is honestly more fun. And then next here we have Deranged Attack. Another thing that Lucas pointed out is that yes, Goat Attack is the correct translation, but it's kind of a phrase that in Brazil doesn't mean goat attack. It actually means like deranged attack. So he was able to get that changed correctly there. And this is a 3 attack for Lampião with 2 boost 3 copies. And this is during combat, you may take 1 damage to change the value of this card to 5. So we got basically 2 of those kind of effects there. And then next here, we have the 3 versatile for Carisco. This is Eye for an Eye again, 2 boost 2 copies, and this is after combat. If your fighters are not in ambush, place Lampião in the same space as Carisco and deal 2 damage to the opposing fighter. So definitely a different effect than we saw before. And then here we go, another one that he said it was a little bit more better localized this way by saying Bloody Eyes instead of Blood in the Eyes. And this is 4 versatile for any, 2 boost 3 copies, and this is after combat. Move one of your fighters up to 3 spaces. You may move through the opposing fighters. Then next here we have Vengeful Rage, the 3 versatile for any, 3 boost 2 copies, and this is after combat. If your fighters are in ambush, move Carisco up to 3 spaces. Once you do this, your fighters are no longer considered to be in ambush. And then going on to our schemes here, we have Sharing the Loot, a scheme for Lampião, 1 boost 3 copies. And this is if your fighters are not in ambush, place Carisco at the same space as Lampião. If your fighters are in ambush, you and a friendly player draw 2 cards. Each opponent discards 1 card. So I said, a completely different effect. I think I like the original just a little better, but definitely a cool effect that they kind of like fully reworked the deck here. And then these 2 are going to be the most different because they got rid of that ongoing effect. Starting with Padim's Blessing, a 4 boost 1 copy, and this is choose 1 effect. Deal 1 damage to each opposing fighter in your zone. If your fighters are in ambush, deal 2 damage instead, or place your fighters in any 1 space on the battlefield and gain 1 action. So yes, place your fighters in 1 space so they will then be in ambush and you gain 1 action. And then lastly here we have Maria Bonita's Handkerchief, a 4 boost 1 copy. And this is if Carisco is defeated, return him to the battlefield in any space in Lampião's zone and set his life to 2. If Carisco is still on the battlefield, each of your fighters recover 3 health. So yes, a very, very different card. I think it's fun that now you get to choose if you want the original deck or the updated deck, and you can just have fun with Lampião, the 3rd official / unofficial fighter for Unmatched. So for my actual thoughts after playing with this deck, I really like it. I like the decision between the first edition and the second edition. I think the second edition can definitely be more competitively viable, but I find the first edition to kind of be more fun. Maybe I just like that that's how the original one came out, the original vision for Burrow, but you can then decide for yourself which one you like better. I don't think the ambush mechanic is too confusing. I also like the ongoing mechanic once you kind of get a hang of it. It's a very fun deck to play. Now, let me teach you how to make this yourself if you want to add Lampião to your collection. Now, before we learn how to make this deck for yourself, I do want to once again give a special thank you to João here. He was a great help on getting this deck created, as well as Lucas for informing about that second edition and helping with some translations, and then also Jowee here for helping with that miniature, and then Jerocobra for helping with some behind the scenes stuff. Now, if you want to get this for yourself, starting off with the cards here, I got these printed off at boardgamesmaker.com. And then the actual art for the front and back I was able to upload to Unmatched.cards. Both the first and second edition are going to be there. And then the custom hero card here, as well as the special rules card. And then that ongoing card, wherever that is, will all be in the description if you want those specifically. As well as from boardgamesmaker.com, we have the sidekick token here for Lampião. The art will be in the description, as well as this specific little plastic puck. And then the health dials here are also going to be from boardgamesmaker.com. This one is the 2-inch round cardboard cutout, and this is the 1-inch, and then you also have to cut those little windows out front on the to see the dials there, as well as in the middle for these little rivets to go through. These are just the extra rivets from Unmatched, but there's a few sides that you can get those from. The art for the front, back, and the dial themselves will all be in the description. And then the miniature here is a little bit different here. This one, you're going to be getting it from Craft Cloud. That's at least where I got it from. So you do not need to have a 3D printer to get this. I will leave the 3D model in the description, as well as the settings you'll need to use. You just upload it, you press ship, and they'll get it to your door. Exactly, I have it here. I just added a little bit of a dark wash to really accentuate the details. And then if you would like to get the card box here that I got to replicate the original one again, once again, boardgamesmaker.com, and then you can just upload the file and they'll get it to you just like this is as well. Just throw it around. And then lastly, the solo fighter kind of box like Bruce Lee or Deadpool, also going to be from boardgamesmaker.com. I will have links for everything in the description. I do want to point out I do have a typo here. I forgot the I on just the front of the box, but the one in the description, it should be up to date and good to go. So I gotta go. My toast is burning.